Hey guys, my name's Graham Candy and I'm on Audiophile. Dankeschön.
Die Ophil. Bum, 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 ow. Die Ophil. Ow. Die Ophil. Ow. Die Ophil. Feel.
So nice to have you here today, Graham.
Thank you for having me.
Where's your pink guitar?
My pink guitar. Well, unfortunately, that beautiful pink guitar was thiefed, and
No.
I'm sure it's in someone else's hands making some beautiful music. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Has it been a Hello Kitty edition or?
No, it wasn't Hello Kitty. It was actually it was a very strange thing. It was the first thing I saw. I was going into a music store and I said, the first thing I draw my eyes to, I will buy. And it was a bright pink Ovation guitar, and ended up walking out with that.
Like an eye catcher. Pink is always an
I
eye
think it's just
catcher,
like
isn't it?
it was a strange buy for my friends, but for me it was the perfect buy for my first guitar.
And the perfect buy for your career.
You could say that, yeah. It's a pretty out there kind of thing. So yeah.
So all started with a pink guitar.
It all started with a pink guitar. I think it was, at that time, there was a songwriting competition in New Zealand, and that was also quite a spontaneous thing. I thought, I want to try and do the songwriting competition. I can write a song.
So you haven't been writing songs before?
No, not really, I would say. It was my last year at school, and I was trying everything out at this time. I mean, I did musical theatre and singing, but never made a song. So when my friend was doing the songwriting competition, he was sitting in the music corridor and said, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing this competition. The top 40 you get into a CD. And I thought, why not? I can do that. So then I went and bought this pink guitar and then wrote the first song called Last Forever, which is a song about my first love.
A little bit cheesy?
It was very cheesy, but I love cheese, so it was very cheesy. But I ended up getting 7th on the competition, and that began everything from that day. Yeah.
So has it been because of the pink guitar or because of your phenomenal, extraordinary voice? So you have been singing too, not only songwriting, but also singing.
Also singing,
Okay.
yes. I wouldn't say I discovered my style with the voice yet. I think that was mostly songwriting, the songwriting element to that. So I think I never thought I could write a song. It's as a teenager, and from New Zealand as well, it was always like, the pop stars, and they're up there, and I can't do what they're doing. But then that was the first kind of encouragement to myself, which is like, I can write a song and put it on a CD. And then after that, that was when the voice started to create its style. And so I'd say the songwriting started first, actually.
But you have been in contact with music before, so you have been acting at musicals, right?
Yes.
At Dr. Seuss, the Seussical?
Yeah, Seussical, yeah.
Which character have you been? The Horton?
The Horton, no, I was the
No.
Cat in the Hat. Yeah, I wasn't the big elephant, but I was the Cat in the Hat.
Okay.
So it was a fantastic musical, actually. It was just like, it's such a beautiful world that's been created by that wonderful author, and the musical was a great company to the books. And
But the Cat in the Hat, the worst film ever, because they're
Oh,
destroying
yeah.
everything.
it's just like, there's a few things where such beautiful, I mean, it gets me sometimes with these modern day films, because Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, for example, with Gene Wilder, when he did the original film back in the day, it's done so beautifully with amazing music, with incredible stuff, and it supports the book. But then these kind of new ones that kind of destroy the world a little bit because they go so over the top or so weird. But yeah, although I like Mike Myers a lot, but didn't go so well for me. But it is a great world. It was an honor to play that, and it was musicals were kind of a great introduction to me to music, and I love musicals. I'd love to do it again one day, because it's a combination of lots of passions of mine.
Because you're also a ballroom and Latin dancer.
Yeah. Yes, I did this for 13 years. I got it out of my system. My family all ballroom and Latin dancers.
Okay.
And I started with my oldest sister. She did it. Then my sister under her. Then my brother. Then me. We're quite competitive to each other. And,
But it's a strange world, isn't it?
oh yeah, it's so crazy. Like it's such a different world. And when you take outsiders, like when I had a girlfriend or I took a friend saying, "Oh, do you want to come to the competition?" But you don't realize like actually how crazily different it is. Like it's like you go out of the world for a second to a competition. Everyone's tanned and hair behind
Like
and gelled
bodybuilders.
and yeah, it's like
Yes,
a bodybuilding
yeah.
competition. And then you see this world of like bitchiness and drama and you know, it's like they're in their whole world and what's going on, and it's like a whole different world. It's really amazing.
But you now know how to smile because you have to keep smiling for 2:30, right? while you're dancing.
Yeah, I mean, I more go for the serious look. I'm more like this.
Okay.
Like I try and do the whole like emotional thing when I dance, but it is a beautiful thing to do, and you know, it introduced me to a lot of music. It introduced me to swing, to jazz, to Latin American. It is an incredible thing to do that and to dance, and then to be able to dance. It's my little secret over here in Germany.
I see. But this music did not influence you or your songwriting, because when I'm listening to your new album, I have to show it.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay, Plan A, which works in all languages or nearly all languages. Plan A, Plan A. It's cool.
Oh yeah.
Title. So I can't hear any ballroom dancer or Latin dancing music on it.
Well, I would say writing this album, we had quite a few songs when I first came to Germany. BMG kind of hooked me up with lots of different songwriters, producers, and I went down so many paths. Went down reggae, went down folk, went down rock, went down swing,
Hip hop,
and yeah, hip hop even. Actually, we tried so many different things. We might have not gone fully down that rabbit hole, but
Can you rap?
Let's check it out. Yeah, I can rap a little bit.
Cool.
That's something I would love to do on the side at some point, because I do have my dark, kind of weird, fucked up, if I can say that swear word, sorry, but that kind of deep side to me. And you know, I think it'd be great with a voice one day, like shit, what the, like, and you do that kind of more high voice on that. But it's for me, I love trying these different genres and different styles and different kind of sounds. And I did this one song, actually. It was one of the first songs I wrote, and I did it with a guy called Anders Elin, and it's called Waltz with a Ghost. And it was a story that I was thinking, I saw this beautiful old lady just walking by herself. And I always saw her by herself. Then I thought, well, imagine you have your spouse for 50 years and poof, they're gone. And you're there. And, you know, you don't love anybody else at that point, maybe. And I thought, man, but what if they used to dance? And what if they used to go waltzing in that beautiful ballroom in Berlin, in Mitte? And then this idea of her just kind of dancing by herself with the ghost of her husband. And that was the song. And it was a waltz. But I didn't make the album. It's there, but it's something I will treasure until it's the right time for me to release that.
for the next album, maybe.
Maybe the next album, yeah.
But which artist or which bands did influence you?
For this album, for Plan A, I would say it sounds a little bit drinking my own bathwater, but I would say the most thing that influenced me with this album was myself.
Okay.
And I think
That's good, if you can say this.
I think it was just, you know, it was just looking into myself. Who am I? What am I about? And let's just be as honest and vulnerable as possible. And the album kind of goes quite a diverse way. It's quite colourful because it's not trying to be the sound, you know, it's electronic, spacey pop with a lot of space in it, or trying to do this 130 ppm house. But it's more just who am I? Who am I about? And as you can tell through the album, it's not really set in stone yet exactly what my music is and stuff. And I think that was my biggest influence. But in saying that, I think a big influence with me from the beginning has been an artist called Damien Rice. And he's one of the reasons I did pick up a guitar, even not only the songwriting competition, but he had a song from his album O called Amy, and my girlfriend name was Amy at that time.
But his beard is longer, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got a lot more wisdom, I think. But he kind of opened up that, you know, a guy can be emotional and can be sad and put it into a song. And I was not kind of a person to talk about my problems, and I used my songs to be able to show that. So I think it's been hard with my friendships and relationships because I don't talk about my problems. And then I think they've heard a few songs now and they're going, oh, okay, that's how you're feeling. And then that's kind of how they would find out.
So it's like psychotherapy for you.
It is slightly. I think it is because, it's a time that I could sit down and just be with my thoughts and release it out. And for me, it's not only this music is just for me, it's also for other people. There are a lot of people that can connect to music like I have. I get very moved by music and I get very emotional. And there's been a few people already from... sorry, I'm talking really fast, but there's been a few people from a song called Heart of Gold, which is about my father, and people coming and singing to me going, I feel the song, and I've had trouble with my father as well. And the song was kind of like about do you know a movie called Billy Elliot? Beautiful story about a boy in northern England and he's trying to be a ballet dancer. The song's kind of about that, the struggle between a son and a father. So yeah.
So do you still have a struggle with your father?
Yeah.
Or is the distance healing?
Yeah, I'd say it's healed quite a bit in the last two to 3 years, which has been kind of the time I've been in Berlin. It was very hard for him to let me go to Berlin. He didn't really understand it. He's a very old school blue collar worker. And to be an artist in New Zealand as a guy wasn't really reality for his age and for his generation.
Okay, it's like being gay, maybe?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a macho country. If you dance, if you stuff, you're straight away labelled gay. But not only that, you're also labelled poor. You're also labelled jobless. You're also labelled, it's in New Zealand, there wasn't a reality. And it still slightly isn't because there isn't an industry so much to support a vast amount of musicians or a vast amount of actors. Although there is a slight change because of internet and that there's more exposure now. And these artists like Lord and Kimbra, Fat Freddy's Drop, The Broods, they're finally kind of opening going, oh, there's some people down in New Zealand that can sing. So...
People think they are from Australia, maybe.
A lot, yeah. A lot do. We look at Crowded House. Australia were trying to claim them for so long. So, yeah.
Which is the better part? Writing the lyrics or writing the melody or the music?
The lyrics, for me.
So you could also maybe release or be a poet?
It's funny you say that because I never thought of myself as a poet. Because I didn't find... Even when I look at my lyrics now, I don't find them so poetic, you would say, in the mainstream sense of poetry, but they're just straight up. I think they're just straight up stories and straight up thoughts.
Yes, but I think poetry did change a lot.
I mean, I would have loved to write poetry like Sylvia Plath, for example, would be amazing. But it has changed, and I love that even with music. There's still old school music, but there's this very... more simplified or rustic music and poetry, but yeah, maybe I've never thought of it fully just to write a poem. I've just always loved to put my lyrics to music. That's where I get moved.
So when you're writing, do you have a special rhythm in the back of your head or some melodies already when you are writing your lyrics, or do you adapt the music to the lyrics?
There's two ways I kind of write. One way is there's a feeling and emotion in me, and it usually happens when I'm in a situation, maybe I'm even at a bar, and something comes into my head like something like that, something simple. But then I'll grab my phone out quickly. My friends are a bit embarrassed by it because then I'll be beside them and they'll be like, what are you doing? And I'll be like, and to my phone.
You can call yourself and on your mailbox.
Yeah.
Leave the message.
So Graham, this is a good message. There's a melody here. I usually do that, and then sometimes I get moved by that melody when I lay it down on a track. And then maybe there's some lyrics that fit to it. But then usually sometimes I will look at the lyrics and there'll be, for example, you're a lost boy and you don't want to be found. And then there'll be kind of that rhythm, you're a lost boy and you don't want to be found, like stuff like this. And there will be a natural rhythm to that sentence. Mm-hmm. So it fits both ways sometimes.
if I look at you, I think, oh, it's like a hyperactive kiwi on ecstasy or something like this sitting here. So you should have a techno album.
Well, I do my techno, but that's with the more. I do my house music with Robin Schulz and Part of Stella, and that's the fun stuff. But as I said, there's a big future ahead. There's a lot of time to do that stuff, and I will do it.
But is it like the both or the two sides of Graham Canley?
Well, I would say there's many more than two sides. For example, I had a song called 13 Lords. It was the first ever song I released, and that's kind of about 13 different personas of me.
Okay.
And I've only been able to get through 3 of those personas in one song. So next should be 10 Lords, and then 7 Lords, and 4 Lords. But this album was more showing the very vulnerable side to me, which is just kind of this more like, this is me, my feet are on the ground, introduce myself to the music industry, and then I can go flying from there, I would say, after that.
Do you think if you would have remained in or stayed in New Zealand, you would also been able to release an album like this?
No, I wouldn't say so. I would say it would have been a much different album. It would have been a different sound. It might have taken 10 years longer because I would have been chilling too much in New Zealand on the beach.
And partying.
And having a surf. And I think it did take a big drastic move for me to do, and I knew it had to happen, and it was a very hard thing to do, to leave family, to leave home, to leave a place like New Zealand.
But maybe you could, sorry for interrupting, but maybe you could at the end be by yourself or detect yourself because you had nobody else you could rely on. So you have to rely on yourself now in a strange environment.
Well, that was it, like it was hard to leave, and I knew going away from it, it would have to be that I was alone for the first time. Actually, the first time just being alone, stripped away of all these cliches and these characters on top that I've had with my groups of friends or that people perceived me as. And the best description is that I left New Zealand a boy and I became the man that I wanted to be in Berlin. There's a lot of growth I have to do in this, but I found my hunger, I found my drive, I found my kind of that I didn't know everything, I felt like an invincible teenage silly boy, back in New Zealand. So it's great to come here and be stripped away and then just going left naked and bare and who are you? And that was great. I realized I was actually like, although I've got a lot of energy, although I'm an open person, I'm actually scared, I'm shy, I'm very fearful, It's a strange thing to realize because I was always thinking I was brave and strong and cool or whatever you could say in New Zealand, but it's not true.
But it is also hard to have a real close look at yourself, at your soul. Yeah. Don't you think?
Yeah, you get into some hard truths and... you do sometimes when you got that time, and it's a very hard thing to find that time, especially in this world today when you're so connected to everything. To not be. Actually, it was a crazy thing because I didn't have a laptop, I didn't have a smartphone, I didn't have that coming over. That was a strange thing. Now obviously I do, and I'm always connected with the world, but for that first 6 months I wasn't really connected with anything.
Isolated.
And I was isolated. I was meeting lots of people, yes, but it's a very hard thing if people can
and not on Facebook, but you met them, the real person.
Real. Yeah. You on Facebook? Yes, but I don't really have a phone. But it's something I told my kids, my kids, I don't have children, some kids in the college in New Zealand, which is like, just find some time as well to kind of find the whispers that, you always be shouted, this is what you could do and this is what you should do. But little whispers that you can't hear because you're so jargon with information. And if you can just chill out, have some time to yourself, listen to the whispers, like actually, I really want to be a person that helps other people. I want to be someone that cooks. I want to, like these little whispers you don't hear because the world's so loud at the moment.
I think what is also special about you is your voice. We have to talk about your voice.
Okay.
Yeah, but you are not a castrato. Because normally in the 18th and 19th century, men have this high voice
Yeah.
and they have been castrated.
Yes, I have heard about this.
You are not, I hope, for you.
No, I'm not castrated. Thank you, Mum and Dad, for not being in some crazy cult that castrates us.
But did you learn the falsetto technique, or is it quite natural for you?
It's quite natural for me, yeah. I mean, it's changing a little bit from getting a bit older. I smoked quite a bit back in the day, and that's where I get that raspiness, baby, that kind of thing. But I've always been a tenor. Like when I was in barbershop in school, I've been working on the railroad. I was always singing quite high. But I think where it became my voice was seeing these fierce female artists like Amy Winehouse, Duffy, these really fierce female artists, and they get this they tighten up their throat a bit, and when I get, and they got this really tense throat. And when I started kind of singing some of their songs, because I love their songs, that's kind of where the style started getting created.
So it is a special technique that you learn by yourself, the high voice.
That's something I would say it's something I made myself, how it got out the emotion the best way. Obviously I can sing like something like opera, you know, you can do that.
Wow.
You know, you can do this style.
You're trained.
No.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think it was always just, I got my first training after the success of She Moves, and I could finally afford a vocal trainer, and he was telling me, well, you know, he was great because he said you can get this style out, but do it in a way that it's not stressful for your voice. And
because it's too much power or stress.
yeah, stress, and
Yeah.
I wasn't used to that because obviously I was never trained, so it's something I kind of came
Think
up
about
with.
Lord, she had to interrupt for 1 year, I think, and
Yeah.
also others.
Sam
singers.
Smith even,
Yeah.
he had to chill as well.
Oh, Sam Smith.
I love Sam Smith.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's kind of where the voice came from, and people say, why sing that way? Well, why not? It's the way that, you know, for me, it's tightening everything up, and it's like, oh my gosh, my love, or this hurts, and oh man, the world, you know, it's just
And
my
the voice
way.
goes up.
Voice just goes up.
Cool.
Even when I'm having fun, my voice just naturally like goes really up. It's like, let's blow up balloons and have fun times. So yeah, I mean, I do have a song in here called in the Plan A called Kings and Queens, and that's but that one needed a bit more like power in the bottom. Blue Garland, and it's very more pushy down the bottom.
So it's nobody else singing it, it is still you.
It's just still me. And I think there's so much more exploration to do with the voice, you know? Why have one full sound? And why, you know, I think I would love to explore it a bit more. That's why I want to do a bit of hip hop. That's why I want to do even a bit of rock, you know? Why not?
Why not? So for the next albums, we can expect a lot from you.
Of course.
That's cool. But tell me your favorite song from this wonderful album, which has been released 6th of May.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah. Which is your favorite song?
Honestly, it's hard to pick a favorite child, but I would say either Home or Heart of Gold.
Home.
Home, yeah. Home.
Home is, for me, it is my favorite song.
It's a really kind of ironic song because it's saying I want to go home, but not today. And I think it was a really hard song to write because it was written on the day that I realized I actually do freaking miss home. And when I first came to Berlin, I was trying to be all like, yeah, no, I'm all cool, yeah, it's going great. And then at one point it just hit me, holy crap, where am I? Have I made the right decision? All that kind of stuff. But then I thought, well, I want to go home one day, but not right now. I need to do my passion. I need to go for it, and I need to go for my potential. So, and the amazing thing is that the school choir, my school choir I used to be in college, was in the Berlin studios recording with the song.
They flight over from New Zealand?
They flew over from New Zealand.
Wow.
And they were doing a competition as well in, I think, Cologne. And they came to the studio for one day and they started singing the song at the end, home, home. And I was like,
Moved to tears.
Crying, and it was just incredible. So it's the best way I could start the album, which is actually one of the first songs I made when I came to Berlin.
Thank you very much. What a pleasure meeting you.
Wow, so pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. For
I'm getting goosebumps. So for me, it is if a song is good, either I have to get goosebumps or I have to move my ass.
Okay, yeah.
This is the measure for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Move my butt. I'm gonna move my butt too.